Short biography of J.R.R. Tolkien. John Reinald Reuel Tolkien was born in South Africa on January 3, 1892, from his father Arthur Tolkien and mother Mabel Tolkien. Yet his father died in Ronald's earlier years from a fever. His mother Mabel left South Africa and settled with the 4-year-old J.R.R., who was called Ronald at the time, and his younger brother Hilary in Birmingham, England. His mother died in 1904, and the two brothers, Ronald and Hilary, were sent to live with one of their relatives and in boarding homes with a Catholic priest, assuming guardianship over the two brothers. Ronald Tolkien went to get his first-class degree at Exeter College, specializing in Anglo-Saxon and Germanic languages and classic literature. In the later years, he enlisted as a lieutenant in the army and fought in World War I. He fought in the Battle of the Somme, in which there were more than 1.5 million casualties, but he survived the battle and was eventually released from his duty. After that, he married Edith Bratt in 1960. After his release from the army, he continued his linguistic studies. Tolkien joined the faculty of the University of Leeds in 1920, and a few years later became an Oxford professor. One of his first works was The Hobbit, a fantasy book about the adventures of a small furry-footed Bilbo Baggins. It was published in 1937. To support his book, he also created more than 100 drawings. Over the next years, Tolkien would develop his masterpiece, The Lord of the Rings. Inspired by ancient European myths with its own set of maps and lore and languages, Tolkien released Part 1 of the series, The Fellowship of the Ring, in 1954. The second book, The Two Towers, and the third book, The Return of the King, were released the year after, 1955. Eventually, his books became bestsellers, with fans forming Tolkien clubs and learning his fictional languages. Tolkien retired from his professorial duties in 1959, going to publish an essay and poetry collection, Tree and Leaf, and the fantasy tale Smith of Wotton. His wife Edith died in 1971, and Tolkien died in 1973. At the age of 81, he had 4 children. His books sold tens of millions of copies. They were also adapted into many award-winning movies. Many think that he is the best fantasy writer who ever lived. Thank you guys for listening. This is my first video, and not the last. I'll be publishing videos weekly about epic characters from history of the human race. If you enjoyed and benefited from this video, be sure to subscribe and put a like on this video.